and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, hello.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, Silas? How are you doing tonight?
Hey, what's going on, James? I'm doing all right, man. I'm hanging in there. How about yourself?
Man, you know what? Today was my day off, man, and I just been lounging here in the house. And I had asked you to come a little bit earlier, but when I got that call, we were actually in the middle of trying to remove my 5-year-old daughter's tooth, and she wasn't happy. We're there for like about an hour trying to take her tooth out. But man, like I was trying to learn how to do different type of knots. I was trying to do some fancy knots. I'm over here looking at YouTube videos how to remove teeth, and then the video I was looking at, they were doing some weird ass knots that I'm not familiar with, a cow tie knot. So I'm like over here trying to figure it out, and man, it just didn't end up working out for us.
I would have recommended the slip knot.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Nah?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you just double loop it like you would have put the wire between your fingers, right?
Okay, you know what? I think that's
Your thumb and your forefinger.
yeah, I think that's the cow knot. The cow, I think it's called the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe. But I was looking at the video trying to figure out exactly how to do it, and then when I finally did do it, my daughter, she didn't want me to do it anymore. So then my wife was like, she had to bribe her. So she was like, I'll let you get like 5 things from Temu, and Temu is this app where people order stuff from like Asia, and it's like really cheap, but it just takes like a month for it to get here. So my daughter was like, okay.
That's crazy.
Hey, and right now I just saw a comment right here because I'm doing a double stream here. We're gonna be live on YouTube and TikTok. We had a comment here from KC_, and she wrote hello to both of us. She writes, hey James and Silas, and I want to go ahead and welcome also we got Kike562 in the chat, and everybody that's giving the likes, really appreciate it. Appreciate the support there from everybody.
Yeah, hey, what's up, KC_? Yeah, everybody that's out there listening tonight, we really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah. So you, how have you been, Silas?
I've been kind of. I've been all right. You know, I took a major hit. I've been going through some stuff in my personal life, but I mean, you know, overall, just as far as what's going on in here, I mean, I'm right on schedule. You know, school is going great. I just finished summer school. I'm still at an A average. Spanish 102. I defeated Spanish 102. I got a 94. So I got an A in Spanish 102. I got an A+ in art. So man, summer school was pretty cool, and I got like another week off until we start fall semester. So school has been going beautiful. You know, I finished a couple of groups in here that I needed for BPH that the commissioner asked me to pull off for the recommendations. So that's been going pretty good. Like I said, I've been going through something in my personal life, but I mean that's just life, man. You know, I mean, what can you do? You know.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, while being in prison, life doesn't stop. It continues. It's just there's just a distance in between, like relationship. From out here and then from there. So I can't even imagine, because I'm sure they're hard to maintain, right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. And I mean, it's difficult. The space, the distance is, it's difficult. But I mean, also, I have.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I haven't been the best of partners as well. You know, I mean, I gotta own my, I gotta own my stuff. And take responsibility for my part. So I mean, I don't want to, I want to. I want to respect, I want to be respectful of privacy and all of that stuff, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, it's kind of tricky, I really don't want to get too much into it, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
just, to put it simply, I'm going through a divorce right now,
Oh, wow.
and I don't want to do anything or say anything to be disrespectful of my wife. Obviously I still love her and, I still support her. So, I want to be really judicious with everything that I say and do, out of respect for her and respect for our relationship,
Yeah, I fully understand. And, hey, sorry to hear, what you're going through right now. Hopefully, things turn up and you'll eventually be in a better space.
Yeah, like I said, I own, I own my part in it,
Yeah.
And only thing we can do as human beings is learn, and do better, and that's it, that's pretty much it,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, yeah. I know you're definitely right, and I respect your decision, to not say anything, about the other party in here. Keeping it respectful. I could definitely respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to do that. I got to do that. That's just how it wouldn't be me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but it's it's difficult, especially under these conditions. Just not even the last year, just the last 9 months. The last 8 or 9 months, it's just been, just kind of a test. A huge test, man. I lost my mom in November. I got denied a 3-year denial from BPH in December, and now, this, and But the one thing I will say is as difficult as it's been, for me, I guess this is just kind of just fortifying myself for the future, because if I can get through this, 23 and a half years of this, 7.5 years of isolation, and losing both of my folks, and just all of the things that I've come up against, nothing can stop me, man.
Yeah, and my condolences on you losing your mom, back in November. That I can relate somewhat to. I lost my father, some years ago, so I know that pain that one goes through when losing one of their parents. And shit, I'm sure your mom would want you to keep on pushing forward and bettering yourself, and I'm sure she was looking forward to the day of you walking out them doors or that gate.
Yeah, and you and I, we had a conversation earlier about, about laying down and giving up, without going into our discussion. But
Yeah.
No matter what comes or goes out there, whether it be family or interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, at the end of the day, like you just said, I'm doing this for my mom and my pop, and I'm doing this for myself to make sure that I finish this better than I started it. So I have a lot of tremendous blessings. Like we were talking earlier, I got a lot of blessings, man, and I just got to stay focused and keep moving forward. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was just telling them, no matter what, life is just just an unrelenting series of triumphs and tragedies. You know what I mean? It's just that's just life. That's just what it is, you know. And you just gotta power through. You know, I mean, you're gonna have some sweet moments, and you know, you're gonna have some bittersweet moments, and you know, I mean, you just gotta make it. You just gotta, you know, just hold your head, put your head down, and figure out how to make it through. You know.
I think you know what when things like that happen in your life, it's all about how you handle those particular situations, whether it's losing a loved one, losing your job, your car breaking down, somebody emptying out your bank account. It's all on how you handle it. Some people drink, some people smoke, some people bottle it up. I think I'm one of those people that like to bottle things up and not speak on it. But I will say this, with having this conversation with you guys has definitely helped me out, being able to communicate myself and form conversations with my wife. And my wife even she'll mention it to me, like we were talking earlier on, after we got off the phone. And I don't know, I'm not exactly sure, how the topic came up, but she was like, man, yeah, I can definitely see the improvement in the way that you communicate now, after, speaking with these gentlemen. It's almost been about a year now since we started the YouTube channel. And, it definitely helped me, it's therapeutic for me also. Talking to you guys, sharing, the things that I do, out here. It helps me. I'm not sure what it does for you guys on your end, but I want to go ahead and thank you guys for for being there for me and sharing your lives and opening up to me, so I have a better understanding of what led you down those routes and make and why you guys made some of the decisions that you guys made.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. Thank you. I mean, it's the same way for me, man. Like, I mean, growing up, I mean, and being in prison, man, and being a man, like, vulnerability is not something that's, that's really, vulnerability is something that's frowned upon, but I mean, to me, as I've walked into my manhood, like that's the essence of being a man, I mean, to me, is being able to be vulnerable. I mean, life is short, man, and I don't want to live my life, with a whole bunch of regrets or wondering, what would have happened if I wouldn't have been afraid to fail or take a chance or communicate, what was on my heart. Like, I think all of this, man. Like, I mean, we're in this little bit of space and time, man. I mean, in the spectrum of space and time, like our lives are just dots. You know what I mean? And man, I mean, I'm gonna live out all of my dreams, and I'm gonna say everything I need to say. And I mean, we should, man. We should. And having these conversations, they definitely help me, just kind of be more open and just be unabashedly, honest about.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
About just my base feelings and, my hopes, my dreams, and my angst, and, my bad decisions that I made, or mistakes that I made, it definitely has helped, I mean, and I hope that it's helped the viewers as well. I mean, I know it's definitely affected the fellas in here, we talk about it all the time,
Yeah, hey,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
Likewise, because a lot of the conversations that we have here in the household with my wife, it has a lot to do with what the things that you guys we talk about, the topics and whatnot. And it's my wife she's like, when it comes to like any type of jail or prison or anything of that nature, she's not too familiar with it. So it's kind of funny, sometimes when I try to explain things to her, because to her it don't make any sense sometimes. And I'm like, hey, well, I that's just the way things are. I mean, I don't know how other way to put it. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, that's the way it is. But you know, by talking to you guys, you know, I'm able to break that down to her, you know, in a form that she could, understand, you know, what you guys are kind of going through, and the experiences that you guys gone through, you know, growing up and your childhood, and you know, everything that you guys go through, you know, on a day-to-day basis. All right, so this call just came to a conclusion. These calls only last for 15 minutes, and he should be calling us back shortly. And for those of you that are just joining us right now, we're currently on the phone live with Silas Johnson. Well, we'll be live with him right now when he returns the phone call. And you know what is it today? Today's Friday night. Yeah, I haven't been on. You know, it's been quite a few days since the last time I was on. You know, unfortunately, you know, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I've been, you know, putting in my hours at work. And there he is. He's calling right back. Let me go ahead and.
This call is now being recorded. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual
Gonna
at
turn it
the
down a little
Centinela
bit 'cause I
State
know it,
Prison, Centinela, California.
gets kinda loud.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right. Hello.
Okay, I'm back.
All right. Yeah. That 15-minute mark snuck in on me. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait for the day if they ever get rid of that 15-minute period, and hopefully we're able to have like unlimited calls one of these days. It'll definitely help these streams run a lot smoother.
Yo, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about me sitting down in the room with you with the headset on, and we doing this live in person, man. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's right. And you know, and the cool thing about it is now that, you know, we got that space now here in the house, you know, so, you know, I got the whole room set up, at least, you know, for my part, you know, doing it solo over here on this side, but, you know, always with the thought in mind that I am able to expand, you know, put a table on here and, you know, set it up like the way you just said it right there, having our, headsets on and getting mic'd up and doing it live and direct.
Yeah, man. Like that's what I'm looking forward to, man. That's the dream right there, man. It's getting the weekend past it and sitting down.
For sure. That's what I'm talking about. You know what? I'm gonna ask you something, because I know you recently went to the BPH Border Patrol hearings, and today I did a 3-month update on Joe. You know, I went out to LA, maybe like right before we went on our vacation, so maybe like about 2 weeks ago, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you, but I met up with him out in the beach out there by I think it was by like Marina Del Rey or Doc Wilder Beach.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Damn, that was loud. That announcement. Anyhow, so I went up and I met up with him. You know, I was out there with my wife, my daughter, and then we ended up meeting up with him, and so I released a video today. You know, and he was giving us like updates on where he was at. You know, he recently was able to acquire a car. He also got his driver license. Got insurance, and he was excited. I was happy for him. Just hearing his journey and whatnot. So we sat down for about an hour, and I ended up finally releasing that video on YouTube today. And one of the questions somebody asked on there, and they wanted to know what was it that he said to the border parole hearing that allowed him for them to find him suitable to be able to walk out them gates. And I know, well, obviously you weren't granted, but can you share some of the questions that were asking you inside that hearing, or if anybody that's been found suitable, with the when they share their experiences with you, if they have, what do you think what did they think were the key questions that allowed them to walk out that gate or find them suitable?
Well, I think ironically, right, in my case, the questions that 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 essentially, I mean, sealed my denial, and the truth in my answer, you know, is the question ultimately that's going to, in my opinion, lead to a grant the next time, or you know, whenever I do get a grant. And it's that the question that the commissioner asked me was about disclosing why. He asked me why I didn't disclose my circumventing restitution, sending money to someone else's books. And you know, I was honest with my answer. You know, I told him that, you know, that it was an oversight in my criminal thinking. You know, I told him that, you know, I've been entrenched in criminal thinking for so long that, you know, that something like that, so, you know, to me was like minor, you know, and it was so minor that it wasn't even a thought, you know, because I equated, you know, harm and criminality to, you know, to selling drugs, to violently assaulting somebody, to, you know, something, you know, like one of the big things, you know, like in my mind, you know. But the truth of the matter is you know, is I have restitution and I owe it to my victim, and when I circumvent restitution and I, you know, go around that, then I'm denying my victim justice. Me serving this sentence in and of itself isn't justice for my victim, because there's no way that I can completely remediate the harm that I've caused. And you know, when I was doing it, I wasn't thinking about all of that. All I was thinking about is, hey, I need stuff right now, you know. And so I was honest about the answer, but in his decision, he cited that, you know, and said that, you know, that I needed to work on that aspect, you know, of criminal thinking. You know, I think there's no silver bullet, you know what I mean? You know, for lack of a better term, I guess I should use a better, you know, analogy, but
Yeah.
there's no, you know, there's no golden ticket, you know what I mean? The only thing that's going to get people a grant is going in there and telling the truth and being yourself, you know. I've seen people go into parole hearings and come out and get a grant, but they haven't completely told the truth in their hearings. And during the review period, they get embalmed, and then they get brought back to a recession hearing, and they get their date taken because they haven't been completely honest, you know. And that was one of my misgivings, you know, about going in there, you know, and one of the reasons why I disclosed, you know, the EDD fraud that I committed was because I didn't want to go in there and, you know, be dishonest and get a grant and then spend the whole 150 days, you know, the whole time, you know, looking over my shoulder, wondering if I was going to be found out, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just, you know, it's nonsensical, you know. I mean, you know, when I do get a grant, you know, I know it's going to stick because they're going to see, you know, who I really am, and they're going to see that because I've been living this, you know. So I think my advice is just to go in there and tell the truth and be yourself, you know. There's nothing that any person in here can go in there and tell BPH that's going to shock them. Like, you know, everything, the worst things, the worst things, they've seen the worst crimes, the worst, you know, in-house and controlling cases, and, you know, they've had people try and run all kind of game on them, tell them all kind of lies and hide stuff, and, you know, so, I mean, I think one of the big things is like impression management, like, you know, we're trying to minimize, you know, well, I was in the car, but I didn't shoot, or I did this and I didn't do that, and I didn't, you know, like, you know, or trying to manage, you know, their perception of you. You know, they're hip to all of that stuff, you know, and they'll call you out on it. So it really, you know, I mean, if you're going to BPH, I mean, 90% of the time, I would say, and don't check my statistics because I'm not, you know, Einstein, but I would venture to say like 90% of the people that are going, they're lifers, you know. And I mean, if excluding third strikers, like I'm talking about violent crimes, like, I mean, you've committed a violent crime, so like, there's no, you know, there's no hiding from it, you know, and half the time people will continue to kind of forgive, so there's no hiding from it. I presume that if they ask a question, they already know the answer. They're just seeing if you're gonna be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, my critical thinking skills tell me that if they ask something, like they're not counting on my honesty for an answer, you know, in order to learn the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're waiting to see if I'm gonna submit the truth, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when going into these BPH hearings, it would be safe to say that honesty is going to be the best policy, and honesty is gonna set you free. Also, you know, there's no changing the past. You know, what happened already, you know, it can't be undone anymore. But you could definitely, you know, change the person you are, you know, going forward. And that's probably like one of the biggest things right there.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You make a great point right there. And what they call, what BPH terms like your controlling case, or, you know, they call that static factors. And what static factors are essentially are things that you've done that they're not going to change. Like, no matter what I do in here, my life crime isn't, the result of it isn't going to change. I can't change that, you know. But I think people make a mistake of, they go in there and they try and relitigate the past. You're not going to relitigate that. That's not an argument you're going to win. You know, you're not going to, you know, too many people die on that hill, you know. Well, I had to do this because this or that, or like I said, you know, I did it, but
Yeah.
you know, like nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about excuses, and I think that's the main thing that people need to know is that, you know, when you go to in front of BPH, like, you're not retrying your life crime. Like, that's in the books. That's over. You know, they're gonna ask you about it, and I think people get defensive or maybe even worst case manipulative in trying like manage the perception of the crime, but like the crime has already been done, you've been convicted, and the perception is already set. You know, and in my case, I'm in here for 15 to life for second-degree murder and 9 years for a robbery, a separate case. And when I go appear before BPH, I am a murderer and a robber. That's what I am to them. You know, that's what that paper says, and you know, besides what the CRA says, the comprehensive risk assessment, you know, that finishes telling them, you know, about who I've been. You know, so that's not who I am now, but according, you know, that's who I've been.
Yeah.
So that's who they're, you know, expecting, and it's up to me when I go in there to show them who I am now. You know what I mean?
You know what? And I got a question right now on the YouTube side, and I just want to go ahead and you know, and I find myself saying this a lot. So I've never personally been to prison as a prisoner. The only time I've ever been to prison would be if I went to visit somebody or if I went to pick somebody up. I've never in my journey, it didn't make it that far. You know, even before I got to that point, I decided that I didn't want to continue down that route. So, I mean, pretty much I've never been to prison. And another reason that I'm throwing it out there is because, you know, like I shared with you, you know, Silas, you know, when I go on these trips, you know, I got the CDCR jacket, you know, I got it out there, and, you know, I'm like taking videos with it, and you know, earlier on I mentioned to you that I was getting some comments and whatnot about you know that jacket. You know, people are telling me to burn it up and that is lame and this, that, and the other. And you know, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to make it seem like I you know, I've been to prison. You know, one of the reasons that I do wear the jacket is to represent, you know, the people that have come onto this platform. You know, I'm providing
Absolutely.
you know, I'm providing you know, a platform, and I feel it's right that, you know, that I wear the jacket, to bring people in. People might not see, what I'm trying to do with it. Some people I'm thinking maybe might be thinking that that I might be stealing some valor right there, like kind of like when somebody wears a military suit, or they go to the store and they try to get a discount, talking about they're in the military, and no, that's not what I'm trying to do. I have been in some of these places. I've been, I went through the halls, I went through camp, I went through the county
You
jail,
have 60 seconds remaining.
the county jail system, and I can definitely relate to a lot of the things that you guys have experienced up to a certain point. Obviously, minus the the prison experience, all of that. I get from you guys, or watching TV or watching other YouTube channels and whatnot. I know it's about to cut off. So if you want to go ahead and call back Silas, then we could go ahead and keep on going with it.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that when I call back.
Okay, for sure. All right. So, these phone calls, they're only, they're only 15 minutes and whatnot. So he's going to go ahead and give us a call back. And let me see. Domino of God wrote, me too. Went to juvie and camp. Yep. Fortunately for me, I figured it out. So today we're going to be talking about reentry. Today's topic is going to be about reentry.
This is Global Tel Link.
This
You have
call
a
is now
prepaid
being
call
recorded.
from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. I just we had a conversation about that, and I just wanted to touch on a couple of things.
Yeah.
Number one, I mean, the comparison of like wearing a military uniform and the CDCR jacket is, I mean, it's a false dichotomy. Like, there is no valor in being a prisoner. Like, that's number one. Like, there's no honor or valor. I don't care. I've done 20 years on the main line. I've done 7.5 years in the SHU. And it got me nothing. No Social Security benefits, no 401k. I didn't make a dime. I lost money and time, with that. And I've been on an SNY yard for going on 4 years now. And being over here and disassociating from all of the nonsense that I was a part of has allowed me to earn my AA degree, release my book. I'm a senior in the bachelor's degree program right now, with an opportunity in front of me to go home, and have a beautiful life. So, I mean, the only valor rests in getting rid of this place. That's number one. Number two, right? You wearing that, like you said, you wearing that jacket is you are an extension of us in here, and I'm sure that I speak for the fellows in here. What you do with us and for us. I mean, like you going overseas, and I have, a map of Amsterdam, and like knickknacks from the gift shop that you went in, when we were live streaming, and like. I've never been to Amsterdam before, so like, am I a fraud because I have a map of Amsterdam because you sent that to me because I experienced that vicariously through you? No, like that's that. Like you're an extension of us out there, man, and you when you wear that, you're representing us, out there in society. Michelle in Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, for any of the viewers who it's a beautiful book. It's a magnificent book. She was a federal attorney, and the book is on just like the era of color blindness and mass incarceration. And I mean, it's just a masterful book. If you read any book regarding the judicial system and mass incarceration in the United States, read Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow. Well, at the end of the book, she has one of the most beautiful quotes that I've ever read. And it says, "We cannot be free until they are all free." Yeah, I'll repeat that. We cannot be free until they are all free. And that, for me, that means that what you're doing now,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
you're representing a disenfranchised population, and seeing us through to our liberty. I mean, you've already done that with one of us in here, and I have no doubt that you'll continue doing that, until all of us are home. And to me, that is valid. That's honorable. So the fact that you don't have any experience in prison is besides the point. You are representing us out there. I mean, if somebody has, somebody in here that's in prison, if they have a wife and they're a gang member, or they're in prison and their wife hasn't been in prison, or she's not a gang member, does that mean like that the relationship isn't valid, that she can't relate? Like it's ridiculous. Like, like I said, like it's just a false dichotomy. I think that that kind of it. I think people get a little bit too caught up in like the whole, and ironically, it's people who have been in the gangland or in the gangland culture or criminal culture. Like they get too caught up in the mysticism, the fake mysticism of prison in this experience. You know what I mean? This is not a marketable skill. Like when I parole and I go interview for a job, like no one cares that I've done 7 years in the shoe for whacking somebody. They don't care. Like no one cares about that. They're gonna think you're a maniac. Like you can't put this on the job application. The only things that I'm doing now, having a passive income as an author, being a college student, soon to be graduate, being an undergraduate, like those are the things, those are skills that are transferable, so I just think people just get a little bit too caught up in the mysticism, or fake mysticism, false mysticism of prison. Come spend 10 or 15 years in here and then, tell me about credibility of wearing some funky jacket. Like, come on, man. Get over yourself.
And you know what? And another thing that I want to point out is, and it's not like, for the most part, I try to stay away from prison politics. It's not this, this isn't this type of, show, because there's so much, that's goes into prison, besides prison politics and dope and cell phones and putting in work. At the end of the day, you guys are living your life and other things are happening around you guys that has nothing to do with that. Like in your case, you wrote a book, you graduated from college, you're on your way to your second degree, you attend all these programs, to try to better yourself. You're also a MAC rep too, right, Silas?
Yeah, I'm on the executive body. I'm on the IAC here.
So I mean,
I'm actually the sergeant of arms here.
That's right, Silas. Hell yeah. So there's so many other things that happen. When you're in prison. Besides the things that people like to glamorize. If you will. And I try not to touch on those things because that's not why I'm here. I want to get, for anybody that's been following us, when we had like 50 subs on YouTube, it's more, getting to know, who you guys are, what you went through, your story, your journey from the moment that you were a child, your first recollection, your first memory to where you are now. You're in your story, certain things happen. You've done things, while you've been in prison, but we just gloss over those things. My thing is, how can I help you? How can our audience help you? Because there has been, audience members that do reach out to, some of you guys that are behind there, to, either show support, or if they have a question, they could reach out to you directly like that. That's the beautiful thing of, where, the technology that the CDCR right now is providing to you guys, via GTL. There's a GTL Getting Out app. You guys have your the tablets. You guys have unlimited phone calls to whoever you guys want to call. So, that's why I'm providing this platform, and I believe, and I feel that it's an important service that I'm providing. And also you guys are providing an important service because you guys could help out those that have questions. There's wives, there's mothers, there's fathers that have questions about prison that they don't understand. And that's what we're here for, to help them out, to get through those, those rough patches in their life. Like there's somebody in the chat right now, they have questions, and I put on here,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
whatever questions they have, feel free to go ahead and ask them. As long as they're respectful and in good taste, I don't mind, reading off their questions so you could answer them.
Right. And I mean, like I said, like I'm always open to having conversations. Like the one thing I love about college is it's made me a critical thinker. So, like even when you were telling me about the jacket thing earlier, I was thinking about like the 12 fallacies, and I was like, okay, that's ad hominem. You know what I mean? Ad hominem in the 12 fallacies is when someone doesn't have a position to support their argument, so they just attack the person. Like some Donald Trump business, like, you know what I mean? Like, somebody has a good idea or whatever, and like I'm not going to even say anything about your idea because it's a good idea, and I can't say anything to deconstruct that. So I'm just going to attack you. You know what I mean? Well, I don't like your shoes, or or he's a scumbag. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's just I'm always down to exchange ideas, man, and have a conversation, a respectful conversation. I mean, hell, convince me. You know what I mean? I'm, like I said, I'm a critical thinker, man. If you say something that makes sense, man, I mean, you have the floor. But if you're talking nonsense, man, I mean, then half the time the people that are, they know they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you know what? And I want to go ahead and take a moment right now to read off one of the questions, or not a question, but actually a comment that one of our listeners right here, Eric Martinez, wrote in the chat right here on YouTube. And he writes, let me see what he wrote. He wrote, it was harder not getting caught up back in the day. I never did time, but was around people that did. Just going to, pick up property from Twin Towers was nasty, and going to visit Wayside was enough for him. Yeah.
Man, I mean, he was one of the smarter ones, man. I mean, it just spending like almost 2 years in the county jail, man. I mean, if anybody's been there, man, to spend any extended period of time there. I remember when I was there, right? I was there like during 9/11, like right before that happened. Like all of the toilets went out, the water went out. Like
Yeah.
they were literally using buckets to use the restroom, man. Like I've been through some of the most disgusting times of my life.
Yeah.
in jail and in prison, man. The same thing happened in Salinas Valley, where the water was out, and they brought like big giant containers on the yard where they had put water in, where we used to get water out of it. Like the water was off, and you couldn't flush in the toilet. And so they come by like every couple of hours and like let you flush for a little bit and turn the water right back off, man. Like,
Damn.
there is nothing glamorous about this, man. Believe me.
You know what? And right now that you mentioned, 9/11 and being in county, that's one of the, I think that's 2000, that was 2000, 2001, right? September 2001, right?
2000, was it 2001 or 2002?
It was,
2001,
yeah, it was 2001.
2001.
Yeah. So, it's funny
Yeah.
enough, funny enough, I was actually I went to county, right after 9/11, and it was funny because, I remember I ended up going up to Wayside, and, right around the time that I got there, those groups that attacked, the U.S. They were, and I'm not saying their name because I'm not sure if we'll get flagged or not. But if people were around, during that era, they should recall, the groups that did that. Anyhow, the fellas, in county, or up in Wayside, they split up into two groups. One was the group that attacked the U.S., and then the other group was the U.S., and they were like playing, like little, like silly little games, amongst each other, laughing about, what happened. And the sheriffs didn't think it was too funny, so they ended up coming into the dorm. They tossed
You have
everything.
60 seconds remaining.
They tossed everything up, and they put an end to it. They put an end to it. It was all fun and games till the sheriffs got involved and put a stop to it.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Silas. But I know we just got hit with the 60-second mark. You know what? And I wanna I wanna go ahead and start off with the topic for today, which was gonna be reentry. And I got a question for you, so maybe you could think about it while we get reconnected. And it's, what type of resources do people have or what kind of resources do people usually need in prison?
Okay. Well, I'll ponder that.
All right, so we just hit the 15-minute mark, and Sally should be calling us back shortly, and then we'll go ahead and continue with the topic of the night right here. I'm gonna go ahead and try to adjust the volume just a little bit, so when he does call back, it's not too loud, because I know those GTO prompts are like they're like super loud. Sometimes I feel like they're gonna blow out my eardrums, if you will. And here it is. All right. And once we reconnect, I'll go ahead and
This call is now
bring
being
in a-
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
and let me
an
see,
incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison,
Everett Road
Centinela,
right here,
California.
Everett Road.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and
All right.
recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call.
There we go.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking, right? And I was thinking about like what type of resources people need. And I mean there's a lot, right? But right now, in this moment, the way that technology is right now, and I think the most important thing for someone in here is consistent access to information to someone in society that can give them access to consistent information. I mean, if obviously we don't have cell phones in here and the ability to Google, so I mean, or if you're trying to get out, you're not gonna have that.
Yeah.
So like just the simple resource of having someone out there to call, right, and say, hey, I heard about this attorney. Can you Google her and see, or something that somebody wants to do, can you, so if someone is an artist and they draw, how can I get my artwork out there? Can you see, like, go on TikTok or go on, Instagram and see how I can network with other artists, or, I've had a difficult time, trying to market my book because, it's getting out there and getting connected with people in the literary world, and, whether it be somebody to interview you or, something like that. Like, I think that, so the single most important thing is just access to information. Like, I think that people in society take it for granted so much that you can just pick up your phone and Google anything, or go on YouTube and get an example of how to see something. And those are the things that we don't have. And just having someone that can consistently access information for you would just, I can't understate how important that is.
Yeah, you know what? I can definitely relate to that. You know, information is definitely super important out here. You know, I find myself, you know, on a daily basis, whether I'm doing a Google search or a YouTube search, or man, now you since I opened up a TikTok account, you know, even finding you know, information on TikTok. You know, recently there was a huge crash on the freeway where it ended up getting shut down for like 2 days. Right, like it happened like the day before I went to visit Joe. So I was kind of worried, like if we were gonna be able to drive through. And you know, and people, that's the cool thing about TikTok, that information you just get it like just like that. You just type in like the freeway if anything's happening, and people are posting stuff up. So you know, information is it's valuable. It's valuable. So you know, you
Right.
guys being in there and not having, you know, that you know, having access to information like that, definitely you know, it cripples your ability on some of the things that you might be able to do, or it might slow down the process because you got to use a proxy. You know, you got to use a third party, or you know, that could access that information for you.
Right, exactly, man. So, I mean, for all of the viewers, like, if you have a loved one that's incarcerated, like, you know, just if I could impart anything on you, it's just to kind of be mindful of, you know, the necessity of information that people need in here, you know, like, and I mean, you have it, you have access to it, so, you know,
Yeah.
you don't got to go dig in the dictionary or a phone book.
Yeah. You know what, Silas, and right now I just looked over on the YouTube chat, and I see we do have a question from one of our viewers right there, and I definitely don't, you know, I don't want to disregard their question here, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask them their question, and then I'll go ahead and throw another question at you as far as, you know, a reentry. So California 11 on the YouTube side is asking, does he have a celly? Do you have a celly, Silas?
No, I don't have a celly. I'm single cell. I have not had a celly for 15 years.
And would you mind sharing, you know, what might be the reason somebody, you know, wouldn't have a celly? Because normally everybody they get sold up with at least one other person, right?
Yeah, yeah. Usually, normally people are double cell cleared. Unfortunately, I'm not double cell cleared because in 2009 in Corcoran Shoe, I stabbed my celly. So that's unfortunately the reason why I've been single cell for this long. And I mean, I'm regretful of it and remorseful. Obviously, I wish I didn't do it. I wish it didn't happen. You know, but it's been something that, you know, I haven't overcome as far as, you know, as far as the trust factor and you know, double cell clearing. And so,
Yeah.
you know, it was the third violent incident for me in 4 years. So it's the third violent incident like that, not in cell, but, you know, so I guess, you know, they just figured, you know, just they were gonna leave me by myself. So yeah, so that's how I ended up being a single cell, and yeah, it's, you know.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Silas, for answering that question. I'm gonna go ahead and get back to the reentry questions, and what about reentry resources? You know, what would, you know, somebody like in your situation, what kind of resources do you think
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
what kind of resources do you think would?
I would say transitional housing, education placement as far as college, or or even if someone hasn't earned their high school diploma or GED. And I mean, college would be, of course, through. I mean, we have Project Rebound out there at the CSUs for people who are, you know, are undergraduates who are on the way to earning their AA degree or haven't earned their AA degree, and then we have underground scholars, which are the UCs, for people who've earned their bachelor's degrees and are on their way to earning their master's degree or trying to beginning. And so those are pretty good educational resources out there. So, and employment opportunities, like, I mean, that can't be overstated. I mean, just gainful employment, you know, employment opportunities, places that are a part of the Fair Chance group. For those of you guys that don't know, on LinkedIn, there's a section where, you know, they have a section where you can mark, where you can search for people or employers who are a part of Fair Chance. And those are employers who don't discriminate against justice-impacted people who are coming back into society. So, I mean, just information like that, you know, like, once again, information, you know, if I didn't know about, if I was getting home and I was setting up a LinkedIn account, you know, if I didn't know about Fair Chance employers, then I wouldn't know to check that box, so I could screen out all of the people, the potential employers who wouldn't give me a fair shake, and I would be essentially wasting my time going to an interview where you know, there was no chance of me getting the job as soon as they found out about my history, you know. So just, you know, resources like that, I think, educational, employment, and transitional.
And you know, right now, when you mention, you know, Fair Chance, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and anybody listening to this live stream, you know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think California, didn't they ban the box where they can't even ask you that anymore? If you have any, you know, if you've ever been incarcerated before. I know up to a certain point they could only go 7 years back, and anything you know, past that, they it wouldn't come up or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I could tell you this from personal experience. Whenever I apply for a job, I always write no, you know, just to play it safe and you know, cross my fingers and, you know, hope for the best.
Yeah, I kind of look at that like I did with BPH. You know, like,
Yeah.
for me, like, I'd rather just be candid and not get the job than get the job and things be going great and they say, hey, we got to let you go because we found out this. You know what I mean? When I get something, it's gonna be mine.
Yeah. And
so, you know.
Two of so I have Esther on the TikTok side, and she wrote yes, and we also got California 11, and he writes yes, it's banned. Yeah, so yeah, they don't ask you that anymore on so you don't have, that's one less thing to worry about right there, Silas. Unless you're gonna get like a government job, I think then I think that doesn't apply to that, and there's maybe certain jobs that yeah, they're definitely gonna dig into your background, like if you're trying to get into like NASA or have like special clearances, then yeah, that I don't think they ban the box on those.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's a good thing, obviously, you know. But yeah, I definitely, I'm not gonna be slumming it for long, you know. I'm gonna be a big deal out there, so. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to disclose in the employment circles I'm gonna be in. So, I mean, it's just gonna be a part of it. It's just, for me, it's just gonna be a process of just like I'm doing now, just re-earning trust, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's huge right there. That shows your change, you know, that that it doesn't matter, you know, how little or how big, you're being out, you're honest, you're being transparent, and that's, I mean, yeah, if you want to come home, then definitely that's what that's what you want to be doing. It shows your change and your growth.
Yeah, Yeah, hopefully, you know, I mean, I just want to be, authentic in everything that I do going forward. I remember, I was back in corporate shoot. This is like, maybe like 2011, 2012. And, I got on like Writer Prisoner, right?
Yeah.
So I did this, you know,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
and, so my neighbor, he was getting on there at the same time. So he was like, yeah, let me check out your bio, you know, your profile. And I was like, okay. And I sent it over there to him. And, we were talking through the door, and he was like, yeah, man, I saw your profile, man, your intro, and I don't think you should use that. and I was like, yeah, really? And I was like, why? And he was like, yeah, man, that's a little bit, it's too highbrow, man. Like, you know, it's going to be over people's heads. You know, you need to simplify it. And I was like, if this is over somebody's head, then this is not for them. Then I'm not for them. You know what I mean? Like, if this is over their head, then I don't want them to contact me. You know, like, so, like, you know, I kind of look at it like that. You know, if I'm going into an employment space or educational space or, you know, an interpersonal relationship, and me being my authentic self and being, you know, and being unabashed and honest is, you know, and them finding out, you know, about my incarceration or whatever, you know, my story, and, you know, and they flinch, you know, and they wince, and, you know, they're like, oh, wow, well, yeah, well, you were great until that, you know, after I found that out, then, you know, then I'm not the employee for you, I'm not the person for you, you know, I'm not the friend for you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric Martinez just wrote a comment right here on the YouTube side. He writes, government jobs will let you know when you got suspended in the first grade and ask you what happened. Yeah, they're definitely going to be digging back, and they're going to dig into your family history, the people you know, and you know, things of that nature. So definitely be
You have 60 seconds remaining.
definitely be ready to be answering some serious questions when it comes to those type of employment opportunities.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Yeah, appreciate the questions and comments from the viewers as well, man. Keep them coming.
That's right. And I know we just got hit with the 60-second mark, but I'm gonna go ahead. I got another question for you. Um, what has the time since your denial in December been like?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm going to need this break for that.
Stay tuned.
I'll give you a call back right now.
All right, cool. Hey, thank you, Silas. I'll be right here. All right, so we just hit the 15-minute mark, and Silas should be calling us back shortly. And for those of you that are just joining us right now and are curious to know where Silas is located, he's currently in the state of California, and he's located at the Centinela State Prison, and in the county. Is it the county or the city of El Valle Imperial Valley? All right, there he is. He's calling right back.
This call is now
This
being
is
recorded.
Global Tel
Let me
Link.
turn this
You
down
have a
little bit,
prepaid
'cause,
call
man, these
from
prompts are super loud.
Johnson.
I feel like my eardrums
an
are about to
incarcerated individual
pop.
at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
Cinco.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right. Hello.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been. I mean, it's just been. It's been a mixed bag. You know, it's been. I mean, it's been tumultuous. It's been joyful. It's been. I mean, it's been grief-filled. You know, I grieve. You know, I'm still grieving. You know, for my mom, over my mom. You know, I grieved after, you know, my denial in December. You know, at the loss of the prospect of my freedom at that time. You know, I've had some joyous times. You know, with my wife, and you know, now I find myself grieving, you know, the what appears the imminent, dissolution of that, of my marriage, So it's just, school has been awesome. I've been inspired. It's just I've been just so many different places, man. It's just been a roller coaster ride, and I mean, I guess I'm still kind of just waiting for things to settle down, but it's just been a little bit of everything, man. It's just been a little bit of everything. But I tell you this, man, I'm grateful for every bit of struggle, every bit of pain, every bit of happiness, man. Like, I find myself right now just, even when what I'm going through right now, I'm just grateful, man. I'm grateful. I'm extremely blessed.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'm hopeful about the future. I'm staying in prayer, and I'm hopeful about the future.
Yeah, you know what? I have this buddy that lives in Europe, and I always tell him, hey, things could always be worse. You know, uh, uh, yeah, you're in prison, but you know, you got good support. You got a lot of family members backing you, so you always got I always like to look at the positive things that you got going on in your life too. Yeah, losing your mom, that's not is not something little. That's huge. Those are one of those things that losing kids and family members, especially your parents, that's not something that I think is easy to get over. But it's all about, I think, the way you handle it. And so far, I mean, from the conversations we have, you've been dealing with it, the best way you can, even though the circumstances you're in right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, it's been tough. I lost both of my parents in there, and it's rough, it's rough, and I guess I just fall back on being thankful, for the time that I had, and my mother and I, we had a complicated relationship, so there are a lot of unresolved feelings, and so it's just it's tough, but the one thing that's been healthy for me is just within the last couple of weeks is just quieting everything, and just having a chance to just be alone in my space and just kind of sort through things and just reflect on everything. So I mean, things get better with time, and I mean there's always gonna be something missing in my life,
Yeah.
from both of my folks being gone, but I'm here, and I got a responsibility to my folks to do what I got to do and live the best life I can, be of service to others while I'm here, and be a good father, and whatever else is in the future for me,
You know what? Let me ask you something, because I know earlier on we were talking about you being single celled. Mentally, what does that do for you? Because you're fortunate, for having that single cell status, because you're able to get away from, all the ruckus in the day room, and having to deal with the second person being in that room. Once you shut the door, it's just you and your thoughts. How do you
Yeah.
do you see that as as a plus?
I see it as a plus because like I mean, obviously the horrific way I got it is not a plus, but
Yeah.
the situation currently, and thereafter, I think it's a plus because it's what single cell has done for me is it's forced me to face myself. Like when I was in the cell with you know, when I was on the line, on the main line, and in the cell with so-called homeboys or whatever, and like always had, you know, somebody that I can bounce a stupid idea off of. You know what I mean? And most of the time, I would be supported in it. You know?
Yeah.
And that's not a reflection of that's not to disparage them. That's just a reflection of me and who I was at that point in time. You know, how lost I was. But being in your own space, like I've been forced to face myself and to really, you know, ask myself some serious questions. You know, who am I? You know, who are you? You know, and what do you want? You know, what's your mission statement for life? You know, why are you doing the things that you do? You know, why are you so angry? You know, what happened to you? Why are we here? You know what I mean? Like, just some of the most profound questions I've asked myself, you know, and I've had an opportunity to have conversations with myself, and not audible conversations, but but just self-conversations, you know, and self-dialogue, you know, and to just go through my past and, you know, the things that I've been through, the things that hurt me, the things that helped me, the things that built me. And, you know, being in the space by myself, you know, I mean, particularly during the time where in 2015 when my dad passed away, and now my mom being gone, and, you know, going through, you know, my separation right now, and it, you know, it's just allowed me the space to you know, to be able to process, to be able to grieve, to be able to create.
Yeah.
You know, I've been able to create and to be able to do my schoolwork, and, you know, without, I can shut everything off in here, you know, and turn on the calm app and just meditate, or I can type up my homework on my laptop and submit it. You know, it's just it's been invaluable because I've gotten to know myself, and I've gotten to tear down the things about myself that I don't like, and I'm still working on that. But most of all, I've gotten the opportunity to begin to learn how to love myself and how to forgive myself, and I think that the solitude of single cell has provided me that space to do that.
You know what? Also, you know, being accountable for whatever's in the room. You know, when you have a cellie, there's always that danger because, you know, you don't know what your cellie's into. If your cellie's up to, other activities that you're not aware about, or maybe they have a weapon or whatever, and then they come for whatever reason to search your room. It falls on both of you, right? Unless somebody, you know, is willing to fess up to it, right? So, I think, you know, being single celled, prevents you from being in those type of situations, and potentially, get a write up or getting removed and taken to, the box or ADSEC or whatever they call it over there.
They've rebranded it restrictive housing unit.
Okay.
So
it's hard to keep track of what
rebranding.
Restrictive housing unit.
Yeah.
All right, you heard it here first.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that you bring up another good point. I mean, you know, it's 100% accountability. You know, and it's not only extended for me in the cell. You know, it's extended to my mentality. You know, just being here. Period. You know, I know that, you know, the contraptions that I build, you know, through my imagination, you know, and my ingenuity, you know, if they fly or fail, you know, it's on me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the architect of my redemption or my destruction. You know, it's on me. Everything is on me. You know, so it does lend, you know, a sense of self-responsibility, and I mean, by all means, I mean, you should be responsible if you do have a cellmate. But you know, if somebody's doing something that you don't know about in the cell, the administration just presumes that you know, and that you're in you know, collusion with this individual, and I mean, you're going to take a hit just like him. So, you know.
And you know what? And right now, I got, well, not right now, but a few moments ago, or it's been a few minutes. We had another comment from Eric Martinez, and I appreciate you, Eric. Keep them, keep them coming this way. Also, Mon, really appreciate it, a newcomer. And Eric Martinez writes, was December his first time going to board? And that's gonna bring me to the next question I was gonna ask you. Also, was how do you feel about going about potentially going back to the board next year?
To first answer the viewer's question, yeah, December was my first time going before BPH. It was my initial and my youth offender board, my youth offender hearing. Yeah, so man, I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful. I mean, obviously, I have a little, anxiety because I've been gone for so long, but I'm really hopeful about, the prospect of going back and having another opportunity, to show who I am and to earn my freedom, and so yeah, I'm excited. I mean, obviously, I thought that things would look different. My life is, I've had some major changes in my life, and I saw myself, my life being different, upon being released and being free. But, I mean, those are things, that I'm gonna have to adjust to. I mean, it's just another adjustment that I have to make. So, but yeah, I'm excited, and I'm hopeful, and I'm looking forward to it.
You know what? I think when you say you're excited, I'm thinking about when I was like back in elementary school, and we had that field trip coming up, and like the night before, like I couldn't sleep. So that's what I'm thinking. Like you're kind of anticipating, like, man, like I can't wait. It's just it's gonna happen. Just when, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, and like it's kind of it's strange. Like I had a lot of anxiety leading up to last December, but the day of, like, I really didn't. I was like calm, because I was just resigned to whatever the result was gonna be, like, and I think I'll have a little bit. I don't know if I'll have a little bit more anxiety next time, but I think the thing that brings me comfort is that
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I know that I'm living and walking the right way. That's gonna earn me my freedom. So, as far as the scope of time when that happens, like that's not my decision. That's God's decision. So the only thing that I can do is just keep being me and keep walking the way I'm walking and being productive, and the rest is gonna work out, man. That the results are gonna come.
That's right. So I know we're about to get cut off right now, and
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I want to read off a comment, and then I also want to ask a question from California 11. So when you call back, then we'll go ahead and continue.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we hit that break mark. Unfortunately, I don't have any control over those. It was up to me, and we would just do one phone call and just run it till we couldn't stay up anymore. But the way GTL is set up, you see, the way GTL works is they automatically cut off after 15 minutes. So we're waiting for SILAS to call back. And if you're on the TikTok side, I invite you to come over here to the YouTube side and definitely check out the playlist with the interviews that we've done with prior
guests. You have a prepaid call from.
And, man, I think I've done maybe like 15 maybe 15 different
An
people,
incarcerated
15 to 20
individual
different
at
people that have
the
come on
Centinela
and
State
share their
Prison,
journeys with us.
Centinela,
And,
California.
I'm
This
constantly
call
trying
and
to
your
bring new
telephone
people
number will
on.
be monitored and recorded. You have a
Till the
prepaid
wheels fall
call.
off.
You
That's
will not
right,
be
Eric.
charged
That's
for this
right.
call.
If I had
To
the blower horn,
accept
I'll
this
put it
call,
right now, but
say or dial 5
I
now.
don't have it on there right now. All right. Cinco.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So a little while ago, we had Vaughn, and Vaughn wrote, let me see, what did Vaughn write? Phone calls from Securus are always bittersweet, and Securus would be like the equivalent of GTO that have contracts with other facilities, obviously not in the California Department of Corrections. You know, they're obviously contracted with GTL, but that's who Securus is.
Okay.
All right. And
Yeah,
then
they said bittersweet.
yeah, so yeah, they wrote
Okay.
phone calls from Securus are bittersweet. I guess, you know, it's yeah. So and then we had a question from California 11, and but before I read off the question, I'm mention a conversation that I've had, you know, previously with my wife. So, you know, sometimes, you know, when, you know, I try to arrange, you know, interviews, you know, for people to jump on, and then you know, my wife will ask me like, hey, like, do you have, you know, like, who are you gonna talk to today? And I'm like, nobody, because you know, they're busy. And she'd be like, busy doing what? They're in prison, they're not doing nothing. And I was like, you would think that, right? I was like, nah, but they got all kinds of things going on. You know, they're going to school, you know, they got jobs, you know, some of them facilitate groups, some of them attend groups. So there's all kinds of things that you're going in. And Mike, she'll give me like a look, man, they're in prison, they ain't doing anything. I'm like, I'm telling you, they got stuff going on. But she cracks me up. But the reason I mentioned that is because California 11, he's asking how much time does he get, you know, out. How much time do you get to be out of your cell on a daily basis?
Actually, a lot. I mean, I'm pretty much out of the cell all day. I mean, on a regular, a routine week, let's see, in the morning I would have DRT, which is like a cognitive behavioral course, and that's from 7:15 to 9:15, so that's 2 hours. I would get out of there, and it would either be morning yard, which is from around like 8:30 until like almost 11:30, or it will be morning day room, which is from 9 o'clock to like 11:30. So I'm on the body, so I either in or out. Then day room in the afternoon would be like vice versa. We'd be in from like 11:30 until probably 12:30, like an hour, and then, you know, either you go to yard, or at 1 o'clock they open up day room, and then nighttime is the same. Well, at 2 o'clock I go to class. I go to class at 2 o'clock, so I'm usually in class from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock or 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, you know, depending on the day, and it's from Monday through Thursday. And so when I get out of class, you know, I either have day room or have an opportunity to go to yard, which I never do because I need to come back and study and, you know, talk to my family. So, but yeah, there's an opportunity, but, you know, in different days of the week, I have self-help classes in the middle of that, you know, whether it be in the morning or the evening. So, I mean, plus I'm writing my second book, so there's a lot to do for me. Like there's literally no time in the day where I don't have anything that I could be doing. If I'm not doing something, I'm just resting.
So there you heard it here. Yeah, you know, there's all kinds of things. You know, as long as you're willing, you know, to, you know, improve yourself. You know, there's either, you know, work, you know, help group programs. So there's all kinds of there's a boatload of things that you could be doing in prison. You know, besides, you know, doing nothing or twiddling your thumbs around, right?
Oh yeah, but I mean, make no mistake, there are people here who, they can just, they have the schedule to where they can just go to yard and go to day room all day. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have a job, and you're A1A, you can just go to yard, day room, yard, or day room, yard, day room, and just or just stay in your cell and do nothing. I mean, you know, I mean, there are some people who can do that, and they do it. I don't have the luxury and don't want the luxury of doing that.
And I got another comment right here from Eric, and and I just want to say this because, I do appreciate, even if you're just listening to the stream, and and you're not participating in the chat, I do appreciate you.
This
But
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
and I also appreciate, people like Eric that do participate in the chat, because it definitely helps us, get into the algorithm. So, shout out to Eric. And he writes in the chat, he says, don't give up on pushing, stay positive a lot of the time. First time, let me see. Sorry, hold on. Let me start all over again. Don't give up. Keep on pushing. Stay positive. A lot of the times, first time on the board, they get denied. A lot of the first timers, they get denied on the first time. Let me see. I think they do that on purpose to see how they deal with the denial. Keep your head up high.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the encouragement, Eric, and yeah, it does. From what I've seen, it does seem like people with an extensive history, and with me, I do have an extensive history that, they kind of, want to see, if your behavior, if you really transformed, and, if you can sustain it. And yeah, so I do believe that that's true. And I mean, before I looked at a challenge as, as something bad, as the challenge was something that, that I had to find an excuse to fail for, but now I look at a challenge, any type of adversity, as an opportunity to succeed. So I just think it's just about changing the fixed mindset to a growth mindset, and just, and like I said, like my freedom is a reality that's waiting to happen, because I'm not going to be denied, no pun intended, but I won't be denied, because I'm going to earn my freedom, and I'm going to keep doing everything that I need to do and being responsible and living responsible and earning it. So yeah, but I definitely appreciate your insight and your encouragement, man. So thank you a lot.
And right now, you mentioned that you're going to be getting your or you're going to be found suitable, on your next hearing. Let me ask you, what's changed, since the last time, that you went in December to now, and possibly, when you go to the board, this upcoming year.
And there are so many things about me that have fundamentally changed, but I would just the largest thing, because my mind has already been made up before then. I think my heart has changed the most. I've battled with, some things from my past, and, and I mean, I'm struggling through something right now, and I just think my heart has changed. There have been a lot of opportunities for me since then, to respond in a way that has been, ugly and hurtful and angry and vengeful, and I've just kind of just ate things, and it's because I don't have that in me anymore, I don't have those parts in me, there anymore. I've done the work to heal those parts of me. So You know, and make no mistake, I still get angry, I still get agitated, and I'm a human being, but I think the actions that used to come along with that from the trauma that I've experienced has, that I've been able to exercise those. So I think my heart has been the thing that's changed the most.
Thank you, Silas. And I got another question from Juan, and he's asking, from a scale from 1 to 10, people that don't get packages from family, how bad is it?
Oh wow, it's a 10, an 11, an 11. And 11, if you know someone that needs a package, send it now. Like, for real. Like, I mean, the food here is like, it's changed so much in the time that I've been here. Like the portions and just if you're in here, you're eating to live. You ain't eating for taste if you're not going to canteen or getting packages, And I mean, I understand that, that's a luxury, but yeah, this food in here now, like, the food used to actually be decent, when I first came to prison, and I mean, they have their moments, but by and large, man, I mean, if you're not getting a package in here, you don't have like your own personal, cabinet of food, like it's rough. It's rough.
You know what, Silas? And also, I forgot to mention, that's one of the reasons I changed my life too. I couldn't take the food. That county food was disgusting. Oh man, like maybe like at least one of those meals in the at least at least one of those meals in the week I was not messing with, because it was all bad. I couldn't do those cold. You remember when they used to give the cold tortillas? They were not even cooked. They would give them to you like you get them out the freezer, and the only way you could heat them up was by dipping them in hot water.
Oh, you didn't like those?
Ah man,
You
those
didn't
things.
like the hot bologna?
Oh
You
man,
didn't
the
like the
mystery
hot
meat.
bologna? Come on, man. You like it. Come on. You frightened on me, man. You like that.
Man, I couldn't do it. Silas in the chow mein. Oh man, that stuff was it was disgusting. I couldn't do it, Silas.
Oh,
That.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Oh, wow, that was awful.
Yeah.
I take it back. Prison food isn't that bad, man. That was awful. That was awful, man.
That was awful.
Oh, wow.
Oh, bad.
Yeah, they're on this new kick here where they're doing like this plant-based thing here, man.
Yeah.
And I talked to my cousin, and he he's on a plant-based diet. And he was telling me like how how healthy it is and all that. But
Yeah.
there's this meat that they give us. It's like that they give us like with SOS with taco meat, and it's like it looks like oatmeal, but the texture is like really gummy and it has no flavor. And it's supposed to be like protein-based. And
Yeah.
it's a nightmare, man. Like they just, there's soy, and it's just, oh my goodness, yeah. It's not a good time, man. It's not a good time.
Let me ask you something. So up in county, I remember they used to have these things called a juke ball. I never got one, but I did work in the kitchen once, and I did have the pleasure of seeing them being made. Oh man, they would liquefy, or what was it? No, they would like blend your food and make it into like and like I think they would bake it, and it would be like a round ball, and then like everything was just in there, just like I think they would put it into the what is it? That thing that the blender. They would put it into the blender. Did you ever have the pleasure eating one of those before?
No, I didn't. I went to the.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I actually got caught with a joint in the county jail.
Uh-huh.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I went to the hole for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And while I was in there, every time I used to come out to shower, I used to see doors with juke ball on there, and I used to see through the tray slot when they opened it up, the trustees used to serve it to people, and I like that. If you get something like that and you're in the county jail in the hole, like, before you eat it, you'll probably spend 15 minutes just sitting there crying.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not torture? How is playing with your food like that and just mashing everything together like that not torture?
That was all bad, and then it looks ugly too because it's like a dark brown, and man, like the stuff they were throwing there, I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely torture. And I know a phone call's about to hang up. If you wanna call back, Silas, and then we'll go ahead and I'm gonna share with you the time that I went to the box one time in county. All right. So we hit the 15-minute mark. And when he calls back right now, California 11, I'll go ahead and ask him. I'll go ahead and ask him your question. They do have. There's a few websites. I know one of them is called Access Packaging because I've ordered a few packages for one of my buddies before. And the selection on there that they got. They have a pretty big selection. I'm gonna put the volume
This is
down right
Global
here.
Tel Link.
So it doesn't
You have
blow
a
my
prepaid call
eardrums
from
out.
Silas
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated
This call is now
individual
being
at
recorded.
the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
Oh man, I minimized it. Cinco.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah. So and there was this one time. I think it was the last time I hit county. I shipped out to Wayside. I was I think in Supermax or something, and I don't even think I had been there a full day. And the sheriffs came in, and they came to search. You remember when they would come in, they would make you stand in front of your bed, and then they would all rush in, like all super deep, like with like their riot gear, like they're about to crack some heads. And
Yeah.
I messed up because the bed I was assigned, I didn't check it to make sure it was clear of anything that anybody possibly left behind. Anyhow, the sheriffs, they search as thoroughly as they can, and then they called me out. Like there was like this side, I don't know, it was like I wouldn't call it a day room, but it was adjacent to the unit where they had like vending machines, and they had us in there, and then they called me out, and they were like, "Hey, you roll it up. You're going to the box." I was like, "Me? What'd I do?" And then they were like, "We'll tell you when we take it to the other side." So they took me to, I think it's Sergeant's Court, and they found they found the razor blade, from those cheap big razors. And I was like,
Yeah.
they took me to Sergeant's Court, and I was like, "Man, that's not mine." I'm sure they heard that a million times. I was like, "Man, I saw you guys coming. If I would have known that was there, I would have got rid of it. I would have thrown it on somebody. I would have thrown it on somebody else's bed." And they're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, we heard that. I think they gave me like, I want to say like 5 days in the box. And that was the first time I went to the box. Silas, it was the worst experience of my life. Just being in those old dingy cells.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It was just the worst. And them giving those damn bologna sandwiches, for lunch with those green spots. It definitely was it wasn't a fun time, and definitely that experience definitely it scarred me.
Yeah, that's crazy. That I was just thinking when you were talking about this right now, like
Yeah.
I went to when I was 15.
Yeah.
The first time I was arrested, and I had sold crack to an undercover LAPD officer, and I got put on probation. And like a couple months later, in December of 93, I'd committed a strong arm robbery, so I ended up going to Silmore Juvenile Hall. While I was there, I got into a fight, and I went to the box, which is where HR, the high risk offender unit, was. It was adjacent to there.
Yeah.
And when I went to Challenger, and then I went to Camp Gonzales in the Malibu Mountains.
Yeah.
And I went to the box there for 7 days. Like, not only have I've been incarcerated at every level but I've also been in segregation at every single level of incarceration. It's crazy.
Oh man, so you were in the Zuma, was it the Zuma program in Gonzales? Is that what
Yeah,
they called it?
yeah, I did. Yeah, they do. They used to call it like 730. They would put you in the hole for 7 days,
Uh-huh.
and then you would get 30 days added onto your camp program.
What?
Yeah, yep. You get 7 days in the hole and 30 days added onto your program. Yeah, yeah, and that was really like that was actually worse than the shoe, because there's no sink or toilet in the box.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
you're just you're in a dry cell.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there except for a mattress and your blankets. You have to knock on the door and wait for the counselor to come to get let out to go to the restroom.
Man, you know what,
Like,
Silas?
so it's
I ended up in the box one time in Challenger, and I had to use the restroom, Silas, and I was knocking on that door like for dear life, like please come open this door. I gotta go, like I gotta go. They wouldn't come, Silas. They wouldn't come. So, I had to, unfortunately, I had to do my business right there in that room in a towel. But once again, those are the experiences that you never forget about, being in those places,
yeah.
the way they treat you, the things that you would do. But at the end of the day, also, if I wasn't out there, doing things, to get me into those places, I would have never experienced them. So I definitely gotta, take accountability for putting myself in those situations, and my actions got me there. So definitely gotta recognize that also.
I think and I think that's the flaw in the criminal justice system, particularly with the with the the carceral system, is that, like, the only thing that camp really did for me was show me, affirm to me that I could do time.
Yeah.
Like, that if I had to, I didn't want to come to jail. I didn't like jail, but that experience taught me that if worst came to worst, if I had to do time, like, I could do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a horrible thing to imprint on somebody, because it makes it an alternative, like, incarceration shouldn't be an alternative or something that's acceptable for anybody, but when you create conditions that, that are, there's adversary, but, most of the adversary, most of the adverse conditions, we create with the whole gang stuff and race stuff and all of that. Like,
Yeah.
but, I think that's the flaw, is that, that it's built to where it kind of creates a culture of a prisoner.
It conditions us, and funny that you mentioned that also, because I've had conversations with my buddies that they've never gone to prison, but we did go through the halls. We went through camp, and eventually we ended up going to county jail. And I'm like, like, if I needed to, I could sit down, but that type of thinking is bananas, because who in their right mind wants to go sit down for any amount of time, being taken out, taken out of your daily routine. If you got kids, your wife and a job and things like that, like, who in their right mind wants to be like that? I know I don't, but being in those type of places, that's what it does to your mind. It definitely it warps your mind and your thoughts.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's insane, is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, that the communities that we come from, we like you said, we condition ourselves and socialize ourselves to make this acceptable, and to even, like, to have it be like a badge of honor. Yeah, I came and did time on a level 4, 180, and I went to the shoe, and I did this, and I did that, and like who who the hell cares? Like, who? Like, it's just it's crazy, And, I mean, that all starts with us. We have to start reconditioning ourselves, and re-socializing ourselves to show each other what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and that starts with us.
And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and read up another question, or yeah, a question we got from California 11, and this one's definitely gonna go to the left here. What kind of hot sauce can you buy there?
Hot sauce?
Y- y-
There's so many hot sauces. Like in this catalog, in this walking those catalog, but just like the canteen, they have like the Louisiana hot sauce, and then they have the El Pato green sauce. I'm a fan of the green sauce. I got the El Pato green sauce. That's my jam. But then they have the Sriracha. They have that in canteen. But just at the package vendors, there's probably like 20 different hot sauces that you can choose from.
Hey, Silas, give me some Snyder's jalapeno pretzels, and I'm all set.
No, they have those at canteen.
Yeah,
They have those at the package vendor and canteen. Yeah.
I used to love those in county.
I'm on a diet. I stopped eating junk. The only junk I eat is peanuts now. That's it. My diet is boring. I'm eating for fuel.
Keep you alive, right? Hey, I got.
What was that?
What was that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, so I got another question for you. This was coming from me. So, what's your experience? Being on this YouTube channel or this TikTok stream. Been like for you.
And it's been really, really gratifying, man, to be on here, especially with the group of fellas that with Ricky, Jesse, David, those are my guys right there. So to be able to experience this, with them, with people that I know, I see every day, how they're walking and how they're living and knowing what they've been through in their lives, and to be able to dialogue with you and to get to know you, and to be able to go to share my experience with you and with the viewers, and just go on journeys with you, across the pond or on the other side of the globe, and to have you, to get to know you, and to have you genuinely get to know me, and we've had private conversations off of here, and it's just been a really, really gratifying, fulfilling experience, man, and I want to thank you, man, sincerely for bringing me aboard and having me be a part of this, because it's really meaningful. It's meaningful for all of us. I know you express it. I know it's meaningful for you, and hopefully we can bring about some type of positive revolution, man, and to have people rethink their priorities, man. That's what I hope to do. Whether you GP, SNY, whether you've been to prison, whether you've never been to prison, whether you're a man, a woman, a parent, or somebody who's incarcerated, or whatever your experience is, whatever your walk in life is, we just hope to bring a little bit of serenity, a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of of laughter and happiness, man, and just give you an opportunity to give the viewers an opportunity to get to know us, and and sharing our experiences. So it's been really gratifying.
Hey, well, I'm gonna say this, Silas. So you're definitely welcome. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you or not, but I'll go and let you know now. Hey, next week We're gonna go to New York City. We're gonna go to the NYC. We're gonna be going to the Big Apple. Hopefully, the Statue of Liberty. So, get ready. Hopefully, you got some availability, because we're definitely gonna be doing some video visits out in the Big Apple, maybe the Bronx. I was telling my
This
lady.
call and your telephone number will be monitored and
I was telling
recorded.
my lady, I was like, I don't know what you're gonna do, but if you guys don't have time for me, just drop me off in the Bronx, Queens, or somewhere in New York, and and I'm gonna go and stroll around. And she was like, Nah, I'm going with you. I was like, all right, then I guess we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm there, man. Save me a slot. Save me a time slot. I'm there.
That's
You have
right.
60 seconds remaining.
All right. So hey, you know what? I got one more for you, Silas. So so
Okay.
most of the viewers, they're aware that you're a writer. And is there anything that you're working on right now that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, absolutely.
Call back. I know it's all we just got hit by that
Okay.
60-second mark. There's no way you're gonna be able to answer that in the amount of time that we're left. But yeah, now for sure call back, and this will be the last one when you call back, and we'll be here. We'll be waiting for you.
All right.
All right. All right, hey Eric, that's right. Times Square, man. I don't even know. The possibilities are endless. We got a few days, so definitely we gotta go ahead and maximize, whatever we're able to cover, and definitely be on the lookout for those videos. They're gonna be dropping on YouTube. They're gonna be dropping on TikTok. And right now, I'm currently in the process of editing the videos from El Salvador. They drop daily at 6 p.m. All right, there we go.
This call is now being
This
recorded.
is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an incarcerated individual at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm currently promoting I'm always promoting my book, Rivers Light and the Barren Tongue of Elegies and Effigy. So go out and buy it, support. It's under Silas M. Johnson. But yeah, right now I'm currently actually the last thing that I did was a piece chronicling a symposium that was done here at the prison for my school, and I sent it out for publication, and I got an answer back, and I'll actually be getting published. I'll be able to give a little bit more information in the coming days about where it's going to be, but yeah, so that's pretty exciting for me. I put my journalist hat on, so that is pretty cool, man. So I did that. I was able to get an interview a couple of people for the piece, and so that was pretty cool. And right now I'm just I took a little break, some downtime from writing my novel, and so I'm back to that. I'm back to working on my horror novel, so I'm pretty excited about that. And, I'm looking towards next Halloween, October 31st. So I want to release it on Halloween, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's actually about it's partly based on Jewish legend, actually, the legend of the LWOP. And it's about 36 secret saints that inhabit the world at all times. And so I kind of took that legend and put my own spin on it and created some villains that are that are at war with the protagonist, and so I'm almost halfway through, and like I said, I'm looking forward to. I want to get it in the can so I can publish it and release it on Halloween of next year, and hopefully I'm home for that, and I can be at bookstores signing books there for that release. So so working on that, and so that's it, man. That's my this is my Mona Lisa right here, man. This is everything right here, man. This is gonna be my legacy.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Silas. I'm definitely excited for 2025, and hopefully 2025 is the day that you're found suitable, because I want to be there. I definitely want to be at the gate, with my grammar equipment, and get your thoughts, what it is like, to your first few moments, getting off that van, the cop opening up that what is it, that gate, or what is it, that door for the van, because they, what, I didn't realize that even though you're released or you're found suitable, when you're on that van, they still keep you separated and locked up, like they got like compartments inside those vans. I was kind of shaking my head, on that, but I guess I'm sure there's a good reason for them doing that. But anyhow, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to being there and witnessing that, and being part of the of that moment, the first day out, and capturing your day-to-day life activities as you're getting reacclimated into society once again.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong Sixer fan, but I gotta say, and forgive me, Sixer Nation and all Philadelphia sports fans for this, but I might have to take a page out of Kevin Garnett's book when.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I might be taking a page out of Kevin Garnett's book when the Celtics won their championship against the Lakers, and that anything is possible.
There it is.
I'm definitely gonna have a moment.
And we just had a lovely Sunshine tap in on the TikTok side, and she writes, "Hey y'all, hey, thank you, appreciate that comment right there, and the like on the TikTok side, lovely Sunshine."
Hey, what's going on, lovely Sunshine? How you doing this evening?
She's been around for I think once right around the time that I started doing lives on TikTok, so highly appreciate her. We have Eric over here on the YouTube side, and he writes that I should visit the Twin Tower waterfalls out in New York, and also Times Square. So definitely gonna go ahead and write that down, or mention it to my wife so she could write that down into our itinerary for that trip.
Oh yeah, the 9/11 Memorial. Yeah, definitely. That's a must.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Yeah, man. We appreciate all of the viewers tuning in, man. And, we have definitely a good group of guys that are working with us here, and so a lot of them, a few of them are my personal friends here. So, man, you definitely exposed to some good gentlemen who are gonna go out there and do great things. So, don't be a stranger, and don't be shy. You can look us up on the Getting Out app, and get in our contacts and holler at us. We're out of that.
Yep. If you're on the TikTok side, like I said, you should definitely check out the YouTube side if you want to check out these gentlemen's life story. If you go under, you can look us up by typing at CollectCallFrom, and once you're able to locate us, go under playlist, and you're gonna see everybody's name with their name, their full name, and their booking number, and you can listen to their stories. So if there's anybody in particular that you ever hear on these lives, and you wanna check out their life stories, hey, it's you're more than welcome, and I would highly appreciate it.
Absolutely, and likewise, I'm definitely, interested in dialoguing with the viewers and hearing some of your stories as well. So, yeah, like I said, don't be a stranger.
I think what I'm gonna have to start doing again also, because I took the phone number off where they could call in, and maybe we could start taking phone calls again, and interacting with our audience like that, where they could call in and if they want to jump on, and they could have kind of like a one-on-one, but obviously in the air, where everybody could hear if they have any questions. Also, that's what the chat's there for. Also, if you don't feel comfortable in the chat, you could also reach out to Silas directly. Also, me too. My email is somewhere on here. I think I have all that information posted up on YouTube. And it's funny because I remember like a few weeks back, I had done a live, and I really don't get messages like that often. It's maybe only been like 2-3 times where somebody will reach out to me, but I had somebody reach out to me from the 805 area. And I think the reason they reached out to me because that particular day I had somebody from the 805, and I think I named it like something like phone calls from the 805 area code, and I think that's what stuck out to them. But so they reached out to me, and I replied to them, and the guy, he was kind of surprised that I replied to him so quickly. He was like, man, he was like, hey, thank you for replying to me fast. And I was like, yeah, I saw it pop up on my screen. As a matter of fact, I think it was the day that we were celebrating my wife's birthday at her mom's house, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm over here like answering questions and stuff. And so, but that information is out there. Feel free to reach out to me or Silence, or you have any questions. Like I said, that's what we're here for. If you have a husband, boyfriend, or son, or brother, or whatever, and they might be going through some things, and you want to know how you could support them, because things happen, to good people, for people that are in good standings, sometimes things happen. They end up in situations that they never anticipated that they were going to be in, and sometimes they need help, navigating those situations, because it's a whole new world. So that's another avenue, or another reason that we have this, going on, to help you guys through those sorts of situations.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's right. I be getting you know what, when I think, I just have all kinds of words that come into my mind. So I don't like which word do I choose. So every time we have conversation, Silas, I feel that I'm getting a little bit better, at conversating and choosing the right words when we're speaking.
We're gonna get you a journalism award before it's over with.
And we have a comment right here from Faith, Hope, Love, and she writes, "This is a good thing that you're doing for these guys. Hey, highly appreciate it. I'm doing it for everybody, not just them. I'm doing it for you guys, for people that have incarcerated loved ones, for everybody. It's a community over here. It's a community platform, and that's where we're here for. To support one another."
I love that. Faith, hope, love.
Yeah.
That. I like that. That's dope. That's awesome.
I got another question right here from California 11, and California 11 writes, how does tomorrow look for him since there's no school? Does he get to watch sport or a program he does?
Yeah. Tomorrow we have a morning day room. So day room in the morning, and I'll probably go out and just fill up my water jugs and come back in and probably start writing. Maybe check out a piece of a preseason game and go to the gym and work out and come back and shower and probably just watch 48 hours marathon on court TV.
Hey, Silas, I'll tell you what, because I know we haven't done any video visits, but if you're interested tomorrow morning, I'm not going to be going into work until the evening. So if you want to jump on and we could do a few on TikTok, I'll stream it live, so if anybody's in here, you know, and they see us come up, then, you know, they could see you face to face. Well, they could see me, but, you know, we'll bring you on, and when we could do those live GTL video visits, live and direct from Centinela.
All right, cool. Yeah, we could jump on tomorrow. That yeah, I'll go out in the day room and hang out for a bit. And yeah, definitely.
So tomorrow,
We could do that.
tomorrow's day room is at 9, right?
Right.
Okay, so because Faith, Hope, Love is asking at what time, so it'll be sometime after 9, maybe like either like 9, 9:15, 9:30. It just depends on if there's a kiosk available, you know, when he does go out. So, you know, definitely we could go ahead and run you know, for a little bit. You know, I got some funds on that account, so
Let's call it 9:30.
9:30.
9:30.
Okay, for sure.
Give a little cushion.
Okay, you said it. We're locked in for tomorrow then.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So right now, I know.
Give me a reason to hang out in the day room.
There it is. I'll be watching your back over there. But we're about to get hit with the 60-second notification. So if you have any shout outs or anything or any inspirational words you want to give out to our audience before we cut the stream.
Yeah, thank you for all of the viewers for tuning in. We love you. We thank you. We really appreciate your support. Callie and
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Eric, or just everybody that tunes in and checks us out. And don't be shy to share yourself and share your stories with us, because that's what we're about. And as always, I thank the maestro, James. Thank you for having me on. It's always a great experience building with you. And we'll see you tomorrow at 9:30.
All right, for sure. So, hey, I want to go ahead and thank everybody that's tuning in, everybody that was listening, lurking, or and also dropping comments. Really appreciate you guys. And like I said around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we're out. A rato. Buenas noches.
Peace.
All right. Good night.